Hello, everybody. My name is Sarah Howell, and in my group I have Lakshan, Brooke, Kara, and we are going to be talking about the hijacking attacks in 9/11 in 2001. The historical terrorist hijacking attack on September 11, 2001 has significantly influenced a lot of things. It has influenced cross-cultural communication in businesses and schools worldwide, and as us as Americans. So, the reason why our topic is diverse and has affected our culture is the terrorist attacks. Racism has become a huge problem since 9/11 and has had an everlasting effect on us as Americans. Also, the culture of America alone has increased security and anxiety among many citizens. And then we have the wars in Iraq that have been targeted for allegedly being responsible for all of the decisions that have been made towards 9/11. 9/11 is an effect that has had an extreme lasting event on America and us as American citizens. It has caused a lot of problems and issues. And first and foremost, we have had ongoing wars. Secondly, we have the immigration and deportation problems. Thirdly, we have the friendlier risks like the airport security, which everyone in my group, we all think that that is a better way to go through security. It's safer and has created, safer flights for Americans. And lastly, we have the surveillance issues. So, classified documents have been leaked out through emails, not having anything to do with terrorist attacks, but have leaked out. There has been at least 56,000 emails that have been leaked with important government document information in there. Also, American politics have become a lot worse since the 9/11 attacks. It was, before 9/11, it was defined by Republican, small state, and post-Cold War associated with Ronald Reagan's views, and this provoked the Democrats associated with Bill Clinton's views. This is one of the many reasons why there has been a divide in the U.S. In politics, especially in 2011. So 9/11 has opened up another set of agendas for Americans, and it has left a continuing mark. U.S. politics, even still today, remains strictly divided, and the main argument has been over tax cuts. And now, with Trump being president, tax cuts has been a concern and talked about more than ever. And the government has been, sufficiently affected by the 9/11 attacks, but so have many Americans and many lives were lost. The picture we chose to represent 9/11 was just a picture here of the Twin Towers. We included it in the PowerPoint presentation, but the reason why we chose this picture was because we feel that it's a very sensitive subject to talk about for many people. I felt that the Twin Towers represent the event in the most sufficient way and the least sensitive way. And they're beautiful buildings that maybe people could associate a positive remembrance of the event of 9/11, since it was such a sad day and has affected so many different things of American lives.
Hello, my name is Lakshan, and I'm going to be presenting to you about the cultural and the long-term impact of 9/11. So if you can go to slide 7, I want to start off with the cultural impact. Our team identified 5 major factors of cultural impact, so I'm going to go through one by one and kind of explain. So first and foremost is the racial discrimination and profiling. So our country's been facing racial problems and racial divide due to stereotype and profiling, especially against Muslim Americans. This caused a spike in hate crime. So in recent years, according to New York Times, there's been an increase in arson at mosques, shootings, and other crimes against not only Muslim Americans but also immigrants in general. Abuse of civil rights. According to ACLU, the country is growing with surveillance, both legal and illegal. Our government started collecting data on people and started tracking not only Muslim Americans and immigrants, but also U.S. citizens as well. Immigration selection and enforcement. So the ideology right after 9/11 was to keep immigrants out and keep Americans safe. So in order to cope with that ideology, travelers from different ethnic and religious background were more likely to be searched by TSA, and the deportation was all-time high, which is what I will talk about in the long-term impacts. And then finally, the workplace discrimination. People of ethnic background were more likely to get paid less than from let's say, a U.S. citizen. If you can go to slide 8, I want to begin it up with the lasting impact of 9/11. The first and foremost is that the ongoing war of 9/11. Our military involvement with Afghanistan turned this war into the longest running war in U.S. history. Millions of American soldiers have been deployed overseas deployed overseas, killed, left with mental and physical injuries. And even today, 3 years after the war ended in 2014, there's still 8,000 U.S. troops deployed overseas in Afghanistan to help maintain peace. Second, we have an immigration and deportation program. According to immigration statistics, immigration has been steadily climbing. Uh, Deportation has been steadily climbing during the first 2 years of Obama administration. What that means is that the general trend after 9/11 was that the immigration kind of started declining, the immigration rate into U.S., and then the deportation state started increasing, again, to cope with that ideology of keep immigrants out and keep Americans safe. In 2008, the Secure Communication Program was established to allow law enforcement to check immigrants of every person booked in the county or local jail. Basically, whoever was booked in the county or local jail, the law enforcement had the authority to check their immigration status. But due to its unpopularity, it was phased out in 2014. So I'm going to hand this mic over to Kara, who will be continuing on with the lasting impacts of 9/11.
9/11 had very many lasting impacts. In addition to the ongoing wars and changes in immigration and deportation laws, the United States faced very many changes in their airports, security, surveillance, and politics. Before the attacks, it was common to arrive 30 minutes before a flight to be properly surveillanced and checked for safety. After the attacks, this time was extended to 1 hour to 2 hours as a regulation for code of conduct in order to be properly searched, evaluated, and processed to be on board a flight. The security has ultimately enhanced making friendlier skies and a safer environment, but time is sensitive, so events like this ultimately have a negative impact. Surveillance has been increased to try and avoid any terrorism before it happens. The National Security Agency has extended out of its boundaries and violated very many privacy laws that include scooping emails from tens of thousands of people that had no connection to terrorism. Privacy is a very important thing in the United States, and for it to be threatened is a huge concern to very many people. Pre-9/11, politics were defined by the Republican. There's very many reasons for a divide in the U.S. politics, and we're relating 9/11 to be much of the reason. Although many of the lasting impacts that 9/11 had were negative, there is a positive outlook for the future. Recommended solutions involve sensitivity training, which is an individualized approach that will be custom to reducing the preferential behaviors of people truly based off of what they think and feel as a person. It avoids generalizations and making a cookie cutter mold that everybody has to fit into. In addition to this, a solution to allow everyone to feel respectfully united is to basically end profiling practices, reduce the judgment as much as you can in any situation you're in. On top of this, reporting acts of discrimination properly is a great way to keep history and to have a report on paper for the future in the sense for those who act wrongly and those who are looking to find a solution. It creates a better picture for people to understand and what is happening and how to stop it. In addition to all of these solutions, the true value resides in being a leader. It is important to create a positive environment for all people, no matter who they are. And that truly starts with the individual person being you.
Overall, 9/11 has had many lasting impacts on our country, such as the ongoing wars that we hear about every day in the news, immigration and deportation problems which we are seeing with our family and loved ones, and now the surveillance issue. of the U.S. government looking into Americans' lives. Not only did it have lasting impacts on America, but it also had lasting impacts on our culture, such as the racial discrimination and profiling we see in our schools, the hate crimes that we are hearing about on the news, the abuse of the civil rights, immigration selection enforcement, and now workplace discrimination. Now we may ask ourselves, how can we solve these problems? And we can do this by enforcing sensitivity training to end profiling practices and messages in order to show everybody that we need to come together and love one another, to document and report acts of discrimination and know that they are not okay and we do not put up with them, and to be a leader and show others on how we should treat one another. Overall, the attack on September 11, 2001 brought our country together in a time of mourning. Since the attack, we have begun to move apart and blame others on their appearances. In order for us to begin to overcome this tragedy and better America, we need to unite. Thank you.